Lightning Talks. Default, 3 minutes each with 1 minute Q&A. First up will be Steve Manuel, founder of ReachSocket, DDP and Meteor as the glue. Next will be, good?
Thank you. Why does it never work with only we need like a notification, like if it fails for any reason, just tweet it. I don't lose. Here's where there's too many artists. Well, this should be the first one I got. Actually, we're technically doing it in artists. That should work. Maybe I'll find more point in that.
So
I mean, I know most of these. Evidently, I'm the most. Well, this could be the song.
I'm sending down a shipping reader. I'm sending down.
Hey, I get you. Why does it never work with Brian?
So yeah. Okay, so yeah. My template takes the so that's very so nothing is gonna be used like yep. Now that's
It was a long time. It works, it's great.
Yes, or actually, you can have a stream. Either way, so here's the thing. Because that's okay. That's so how you had it there. That's
I talked to you a while back.
but so this type of thing is already so it has to be a stream. Right. You have to push your phone. Or like that. Right. If you want to do a square bracket, you go to the coordinates. Square so this one. Right, this is what's doing. So here's no, it's defined. This stuff true is not defined. But why is this stuff not Just gonna console.log. Because you're that for each result here context. It's anonymous, and that's a comment. The scope of this is so the one way to work around set that, make a var that equals this. That's one way. Yeah, I can see that. Yep, exactly. There we go. I think we have an answer from
Past, present, and future going to a bar.
You usually have questions that are like, well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. How did I get there? Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, very good. What goes black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white? Rolling down the hill. I have a 6-year-old. I have a 6-year-old. That's a good joke. Yeah, it is.
But it's cool that actually got a lot of them are not talking about it. Wait, you get to look at it? They're all the right ones. That's crazy.
Oh, I'm sure right now. Don't hold back. Go for it.
All right.
I'll tell that. stream. Come on, the guy's 65 or 67 years old.
Maybe we should.
Basically from the audio, I have different templates for layouts, and I have different templates for like different areas. And those areas, like for type of stuff, you need to switch that out.
This is a good idea.
I'm surprised this turned out to be it's a traditional German beer.
Okay. Well, we just want to call
Brewed in China, is in the German part of China, carved up China, turn of the century, that's where all Germans were. So they built the brewery, and it's a very traditional German recipe. The one part of China that makes the beer is that uses being German.
The reason I wanted this is because when I'm like trying to get into an artist, one of the best ways is to look whatever your live stream is. Because that's an artist saying, these are the songs that make this live, what people like. And usually it's like, but without being like the best stuff, like, it's not a great space. I have a lot of thoughts. I think if the artist name is too long, I don't
Dark period of Chinese history.
we don't have good reaction.
All but 150 years.
Can I make an announcement?
I'm saying that it might be failing on just grabbing the set list, but when it tries to tweet back, it's not this one, and it makes it tweet back.
What's that? So just to let you know, we're going to be starting the evening portion of Devshop very soon. So our first speaker will be going up in about 5 to 10 minutes. And just so you know, parts of the room are visible during, we are live streaming the talks and we're posting them to YouTube. So some parts of the room will be visible during the wide shot. So if you're camera shy or self-conscious about that, I recommend that you take this opportunity to get up and move either to the back of the room where the couches are or like to the far edges of the room. Otherwise, feel free to stay where you are. And if we could please keep the front, at least the front half of this table clear so that your head doesn't block the camera, that would be great. So yeah, we'll be starting soon. You're good there.
You could have it worldwide. Worst things I've had.
right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our March Meteor Devshop SF. Our first talk today is from Andries Malan, who is the co-founder of TaskPutty. TaskPutty is a process tool that allows you to build business applications quickly. Previously in the South Africa tech scene, Andries has launched multiple startups, as well as brick-and-mortar businesses, including Gate Motor Guru, a gate automation service, and QuantaSure, an insurance broker referrer. Today he's going to tell you how to get more productive in your Meteor development using TaskPutty. So here's Andries Malan.
Hi, evening, people. Hi. I'm going to start at the productivity myth. Who here uses Ruby? Who here loves Ruby? Who here thinks it makes them twice as productive as not using Ruby? 3 times? No, sorry, nobody. Yeah, that's what you often find. Like, whenever somebody shows me some very impressive web app that they've built, and they tell me how quickly they were able to build it because they were using Ruby, and I ask them, so how long did it actually take you? And they tell me 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year. And then I think, but wait a minute, that's how long it would have taken me using my favorite language. So it's not about the language. Now, our vision is what I call the 95-5 rule. We would ultimately like to allow you to build 95% of the apps that you'd like to build in 5% of the time compared to traditional tools available today. Now, of course, this is not possible today yet. This is our long-term vision. We do not know how long this will take us to get there, but we are making some steps in this direction, and I'm hoping to show you some of that tonight. This is what I think the productivity reality looks like. You can see where I've positioned Ruby, and I also believe that Meteor gives you a significant advantage on top of this. Big reasons for that being that you have the same framework on the front and back end, something as simple as validation code. You don't have to write the same code twice in 2 different languages. The entire reactivity stack makes your GUI programming a lot simpler. You don't have to manage all this state. All your data is automatically synchronized, so you get basically the entire set of implicit logic that you would normally have to write explicitly in other frameworks. We, of course, hope to build on top of this, and does make you a lot more productive. Now, in order to do that, we said, well, where are you spending your time when you build a traditional business app? And when I say traditional business app, I'm talking about the typical data-intensive app, not necessarily the next consumer-facing app. So these are things like ticket management systems, task tracking, CRM systems, all the various parts you might find ultimately in the ERP stack. So some of the things that take your time, building the UI is a big part of that. Of course, as I mentioned, Meteor already makes your life a lot simpler doing that. Then building your entire data world, all your models, all your relationships, all of that still takes a lot of time. Building reporting, building business logic, pulling in data from third-party systems, REST services, sucking in CSV files, all of these things that most real-world business apps need take time, and people still keep on writing the same code over and over and over. And that's where we see the opportunity to make a difference. So I'm going to show just some ideas of how we think maybe the future should look like. So we're going to start with just building some data models. So I'm just going to build one. I'm going to call it employee. Okay, let me delete that field. Just first and last. And there we've defined our first model. Let's define another model. Give give a department a name and perhaps a description field. And while we're at it, let's create a few. Okay, let's go back to our employee model. Let's create a relationship between these. Okay, I'm going to put myself in. And hopefully I'm in product development and not in sales. And let's put another one in. Right, there we've created a very simple rudimentary data schema. Now I'm going to show you what you can do with this. Let's create a template. Now this has got a one-to-one mapping with Meteor templates as you know them. Let me select it first. So what you've got here is a real-time responsive editing environment. So you can, for example, put in handlebars expression. You can see that it's real time, gives you feedback if you've made any mistakes. You can see that it really works.
Can you make the text a little bigger, maybe?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Does that help? Okay, let me take that a step further. Now we've got these models, so let's manipulate our models a bit. We've introduced our own version of the each primitive. Let me just make it. And now you can just do it using traditional and there you basically got a template. And imagine if you were building all your templates this way. Now let me make it a little bit more complex. Let's show how a helper would function.
Can you make it larger, much larger, so you can see everything?
That's, okay.
What tell you when it's too large?
Yeah, it just yeah the columns start becoming a problem to fit in. But let me try this. So what you will see is immediately as your code is valid, the results start showing up. Now you see, well, this doesn't look right. Maybe you need. Right. So now we've created one screen. Let's copy and paste this. Let's create another one for department. I don't think I've copied and pasted it correctly. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to do exactly the same pattern here. Let me just make the zoom so that I'll put it back now that everybody can see. Now, right. So there we've put a second template together. Now you want to string this together into an app. The next thing you will most likely need is some kind of navigation. So here we've got a nice interactive tool with which you can build your navigation. And there is your runtime app. So there you've just basically in a few minutes built an app. Now I'm going to take it a little bit further, just show you some more concepts. Let's say you wanted to do some event handling. So you use your normal Meteor selectors. And real time, you always get feedback immediately. Okay. Of course, we don't stop just there. I'm going to show you to take it a step further. And there you've got your rich CRUD components available with one line of code. We'll make it. So basically one line of code, and if you go back to your running app, there's your app with real-time data editing and interactivity. Okay, so this is just showing you how quickly you can put together a traditional data-driven app. The next thing that I want to show you guys is our reporting system. This is a screen from an actual system, quite a complex set of data relationships between job cards and people who log work entries against them, which comprise descriptions and hours worked. Now, this is a report building tool. So you have the first step, what you want to do is you want to cull the set of visible fields. So you want to simplify the view. So you decide which ones are the essential ones and which ones you rather want to hide. Okay, then we also have some grouping functionality. Simple as just clicking and grouping it. And what's really nice about this report tool is you could decide to use this to design the reports for your users, or you could just expose this report directly to your users and let them, with simple click gestures, just build their own reports. They can group recursively. You can pivot in any direction that you like. And if you need sort of a high-level management report, you can say hide all the detail fields and just show me the summary calculations. And then you can, when you're done, you can give the user a one-button click. And they can have the exact same report in Excel. We've built a lot of other similar primitives. We've built a visual process designer. We've built a drag and drop rules engine. And we think with the right conceptual tools, we can make people a lot more productive. We've taken the base of Meteor, but we've given you much higher level tools on top of it. So this is our tongue-in-cheek response to that quote. And if you like what you see, we would like everybody to go and sign up. We haven't made it broadly available. We're going to make it available in batches of 10. So we're going to select our first 10 people to give this to and see what sort of feedback we get. And once we're confident that we've got the first 10 users happy in using the system, then we'll keep bringing more people in. Just some interesting Meteor lessons that we've learned along the way. Just maybe obvious things, depending on what your skill level is. I consider it an anti-pattern to put your ID in IDs of your collection, say, in your ID attributes, because it quite often happens that you might have the same entity appearing more than one context on the screen without you being aware of that. We found that we had to, because we started quite early in Meteor, we found that we had to build a lot of the primitives ourselves. Now, there are various of these packages now on Atmosphere, but it's hard to get them all to work together in a nice, coherent way. So we found that we had to really build our own and to get really slick. We also found that with the older rendering engine, we had to do a lot of workarounds that has now gone away, and we, of course, look very much forward to the Blaze engine. I think that's going to make everybody a lot more productive. And we also had to write a lot of our own custom helpers. That's something well worth considering, such as the each with index. Quite often you find you're iterating a list of items and you just need the index as well. That's a simple helper. Similarly, you quite often need to refer to a session variable somewhere in a template. So instead of keep having to write these helper methods, just give yourself a if session variable helper. So that's just a few sort of quick tips around Meteor. Right. So yeah, right now we're just gauging response every time we show a few of our features. We've got a couple of other rich components like a form designer, which showed last time in the Enlightening talk. We have to show more of our features in the future. But at this point, I think that this is as much as I can show you this evening. So I will put it open for questions.
All right, let's give him one applause. Okay, if you're watching on the YouTube live stream, you can tweet in your questions with #MeteorDevShop. And also, if anyone has questions in the room, please raise your hand.
What do you have? What are some of the do you have a lot of features that allow you to like code in your own format over the system that you have? Like, do you have any code in features as well, like options inside of the code?
Right.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, let me just make sure I got your question straight. You asked about we got a lot of coding features in our app. Is that the question?
Yeah, inside of your framework, is there a lot of ways for like a person to opt in with their code and integrate into the system as well as using the framework itself?
Right. Yeah, we foresee Git integration. For now, the only way that we've got is you could say export all your code as a packed zip. We think in the future things like IDEs are going to move into the cloud. So very much more and more of your code, I think, will live in the cloud itself, will live in the platform. So I hope that answers your question.
Looks like we have a question in the corner.
What are you using for your live code analysis?
Right, we used a couple of tricks there.
Repeat the question.
Right. What did we use to do the live code analysis? How do we get this interactive code editing to work? We used a couple of tricks there. One of the tricks is to use jQuery's HTML parser. So anything that you evaluate with a $, you effectively get a very good, robust HTML parser. In terms of the handlebars, there what we've done is we've taken a version of the public handlebar system, not the Meteor handlebars. I struggled to move the handlebars compiler into the browser side. So I used a hacked version of the standard handlebars and did some hacks on top of it to make it more Meteor compliant. Okay.
From Twitter, Jade wants to know, how long did it take you to build TaskPutty?
We've been working on it, 2 guys, for a year. Now, we haven't shown the full depth of the features. The things that I've shown tonight, not the reporting, but the interactive code editing, I've been working on that for the last month. But overall, we've been working on it for about a year. We've started working with, I think, Meteor around version 0.4, etc., and ultimately pivoted into a process tool. And now what we're seeing is that there's a lot of potential to take the process tooling we've got and find ways to package it and expose this functionality to developers.
Slava has a question.
On one of your slides, you mentioned that you shouldn't put _ID as an ID of your div element. Can you tell us more why? How did you come up with this conclusion?
Yeah, it's just sooner or later. Yeah. So why don't you put your ID tag in the ID attribute of your div tags? Well, sooner or later it will bite you. Like the mongoose, it will bite you sooner or later. Yeah.
All right, do we have it?
Well, what you will find is, well, let's say you render certain elements maybe as tabs, and later you decide you need to show a list containing some of the same elements, and then you have clashes between IDs. That's a typical case. You don't anticipate having more than one instance of a certain object on the screen at the same time, but sooner or later it happens, and you get all kinds of subtle bugs from that.
All right, any more questions for Andries? No? All right, well, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break between Andries' talk and the next talk. Next up, we're going to have Meteor core developer Ekate Kuznetsova. But we're going to take a short break, so this is a good chance to get up, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, and then we'll get started again very soon.
No, you're okay. Yeah, thank you.
minutes, so now's a good time to find your seats again. Okay, welcome back to the program. Next up, we have Meteor core developer Ekate Kuznetsova. And she's going to be presenting a first look at the Meteor Packaging System, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this talk quite a lot. There's been a lot of buzz on Twitter, et cetera. So to introduce Ekate, Ekate has a history of working on complex globally distributed systems, such as Google Plus and Akamai. At Akamai's system communication group, she designed a new protocol for securely distributing configuration changes to hundreds of thousands of edge servers. And she separately developed procedures for rotating the encryption keys that protect sensitive information on those servers. At MIT, Ekate represented her dorm in the campus-wide student government and also served as president of Mitzvahs, the world's largest science fiction library. This is Ekate's first Devshop talk, so let's give her a warm round of applause.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ekate, as Alice just amazingly well presented me. And I'm here to give you the first look at the Meteor Packaging System. I know many of you have been looking forward to this. So I'm going to start with the demonstration. And then we will discuss some of the concepts that went into developing it. So here we have an app. It's very short. This Emacs buffer right here is the entirety of the code. It just has one package. Sorry, it has one file. It has no packages, actually, except the standard app packages. It doesn't really do anything yet. But we're going to add some packages to it. And then it'll show us a square of a random color based on the logged in user's ID. And it will look kind of OK, as opposed to now when it doesn't really. So let's add some packages. First, let's add the accounts package. This is not new. This is something we have always been able to do. And we do the same thing that we have always done. We type meteor add, accounts UI, accounts password. And now we're going to add the core packages from accounts. As you see, there's the UI and the password packages. But also, as you can see, we have added a bunch of dependencies that they depend on. And all of these dependencies have versions. For example, we have added the random package at version 1.0.0. So this is not new. This has always been here. This is just overview of how things have been up to this point. But now, let's add Bootstrap 3. Bootstrap 3 is great. It's very pretty. But MDG has never made a Bootstrap 3 package. There is no core package called Bootstrap 3. In the past, we would have had to download Meteorite as a separate tool and then add it that way. Now, we can just do the same thing we did. And yay! we have added a Bootstrap 3 package to our app. Now, you may have expected me to type Meteor add Bootstrap 3. But instead, what I actually ended up typing is Meteor add Mango Bootstrap 3. That's because Mango is the name of the maintainer of the package. Let's talk about package naming conventions, which is an exciting thing that is going to happen. Sorry. In Meteor 0.90, when we can add all of these packages that are not developed by MDG to our apps, they're exactly the same. They live on the same server. It is technically exactly the same. The naming is the only difference. Here's the thing with the naming. We want the package name to be preceded by the username of the maintainer. Why? We think this has some advantages. First, this makes it easy to find a good name for your package. A lot of you have been writing your own forms packages, for example. And it's very annoying to have to compete with other people in naming and be like, oh, someone already took forms. I can't take that. So hopefully, with namespacing, you won't have to. And second, there are a lot of really good packages in our community. There is Fast Render and Iron Router. And people here, you guys make amazing things. You make really good packages. We want to give you credit. We think other people should give you credit, too. If you make a popular package, you should also be popular. And that's why everyone wants to be popular, right? So that's why we're going to do this GitHub-style prepend with your username. You should know where your code is coming from. And everyone you know should know that you're awesome. So that's what adding packages looks like. You can add packages from the community in Meteor 0.90. That's really cool. Let's talk about publishing packages, which we have just mentioned. So I have a package. It's called Color Square. It makes a square. And I'm going to publish it right now. This is my package. It has, and this is the code. There are 3 files. There is the HTML file, as you can see right there. It uses Meteor's native SVG support. It's just 3 lines of SVG. It makes a square, 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Pretty simple, about as simple as it gets. There's a JavaScript file. It registers a handlebars helper called squared that's going to take a string and use that string to generate this 100 pixels by 100 pixel square. And this is what the package produces. Once again, not complicated. One of the simplest packages you can have. It's just a square. So the other file we have in this package is package.js. And that's the file we're going to talk about right now. That's the file that contains the sort of metadata for our package. It has the name, which is Ekate::color square. It has a description. This package makes a square. Yay. It has a version 1.0.0. And then it adds some files and registers some dependencies. Well, that was a lot of explanation, so let's just publish it. First, I'm going to log in. We're going to use your Meteor developer account to authenticate. We're going to use it to keep track of permissions, to keep track of who has the right to edit add new versions, and add new builds, and things like that. And now, let's publish. I'm using the --create flag to show that this is a new package. And now my stuff has crashed for some unknown reason. Oh dear. It just crashed because I was testing this and I was in the wrong directory. That happens.
But you're popular, so it's OK.
Huh?
But you're popular, so it's OK.
Well, popular may be a strong word, but it'll probably be OK.
My name's Alice. I'm always popular
You bet.
in computer science.
Are you the Alice?
I'm the Alice. There are no other Alices.
Yay! We have managed to publish this package despite that minor setback. It's a good thing we had the -- create flag. What you saw in action is that you can't use the -- create flag to create a package that already exists, which is good. It saved me from some awkward embarrassment, uploading the wrong package and editing some source code and not having it show up. So we have created this package, and we could add it to our app right now. But let's improve it a little bit. So we said we wanted a package that makes a colored square and is going to change colors based on the user. But what this package actually does is just like make a gray square. That's not changing color at all. And the reason that doesn't change color is because it takes the string, which is always constant, and then it just takes the first character and uses that for all of its hues. So that's just going to show up gray all the time. Let's make it better. Let's take a random character and save our file. So now we're using the random package. So we're going to have to edit as a dependency. How do we do that? Well, we go to our packages file, and we add it as a dependency. I heard that the best version to use is 1.1.0 of random. So that's the version that we have specified that this package depends on. That's the version that we're going to use. We now have enough to publish a new version of our package. So let's do that. We're going to change the version number, increment it. And we're going to change the description, because now it's going to be true. Save and publish. This time, you'll notice I didn't use the create flag, because I published the package already, and it worked. Yay! But how do we know that this package has come through to the server? I mean, we know this because this is the Meteor Packaging System, and it works. But let's check. We can use the search command. And the search command is going to show us that on the server, there is this package, Ekate color square. And it's maintained by Ekate. And it even shows us the version history and what happened. So now we know. But let me show you this one other thing, which is kind of cool. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi. And then I'm going to search for a package again. And it's going to work. Even though I'm not talking to the package server, it's going to work. It worked. And the reason why this works is because Meteor sends the package catalog down to the client, in this case, the laptop. It's being constantly updated. Even though I'm offline, I don't have a net connection, I can still access the information about the packages that was there the last time I logged in. We're also working on pre-caching the packages on your computer. What this means is that in the future, if you're on an airplane or in a coffee shop and the Wi-Fi is flaky, you will still be able to update your app. You will still be able to add new packages, because that time is important. And we're excited about making it still be able to do work, even when the wireless is down. I'm going to turn the Wi-Fi back on now. By the way, this is like a command line interface. And you probably will not actually use this to search for packages. The package server has a public DTP API. And we're very excited about integrating with other services that will provide a better UI. For example, Percolate Studios has yesterday released a new version of Atmosphere, which is the current UI for packages made for Meteor. It's very exciting. It's very pretty. And we look forward to working with them and using that as the front-end interface. But now that we have published our package, let's drop it into our app and make sure it works. We're back in the app, and we can edit. Exactly the same thing. Yay! We have added the color square package. By the way, let's check that this works. Our app should be awesome now, right? It's going to display a square and all these things, even though it's just one HTML file. Because this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. You can sign in. There's a Bootstrap toolbar. There's a square. It's not even gray, so that worked. But while we're here, let me direct your attention to this line over there. So you see, we added the color square package at the latest version, because packages are versioned now. And we assume that when you add a package, you want the best, the freshest, the newest. And because we did that, we had to upgrade random from version 1.0 to version 1.1.0. Because, as you remember, that's the version that we specified in our dependencies. So that makes sense. But let me show you something else. We have added a new file to the Meteor app. So there's always been this sort of .meteor directory in your app. This is the internal Meteor directory. It contains things like the list of all the packages that you have directly added. That would be the packages file right here. But in addition to that, we have added this versions file. It wasn't here before. What that has is the full list of everything you're using, every dependency at the right version that you're using it at. This gets checked into GitHub along with the rest of the code. This gives you repeatable builds. Let's take a look. Let me show you what it looks like. It looks like this. You have a package name, then you have an @ sign, and then it shows you what version it's at. So we're using accounts base at version 1. We didn't add accounts base directly, but we are using it as a dependency. And that's why it's in the versions file. And once again, this gives us repeatable builds. Same versions, same dependencies every checkout. If you and another developer are working on your app, and you check your stuff in, when they check it out, they will not have strange bugs that depend on the fact that they're using different dependencies. That's not going to happen. We think that's important. That's part of our framework. It's automatic. You don't have to do anything. You have repeatable builds every time. So that's the overview of the tool and the tool changes that we have made. And now let me tell you a little bit about some of the thinking that we put into the back end of it, some of the decisions behind the implementation. So you may have noticed that when we first added accounts password and accounts UI, we added random at version 1.0.0. Later, when we added colored square, we updated random to version 1.1.0. We didn't just add a second version of random. That's because we only have one version of the random package in our app. We don't load multiple copies of it. We don't have multiple loading. We could have multiple loading. The tool does support it. We would scope our packages global to each scope as necessary. And when you refer to a package, it would look in the right direction and know which version you mean. That's a thing that we could do. But by default, we didn't. And we want to give it a try, because we think that there are a lot of cases in Meteor where multiple loading would be difficult. For example, a lot of Meteor takes place on the client. And that involves sending things like the jQuery library down to the user. The jQuery library is pretty big, but it's not that big. However, if you're sending one copy, it's fine. If you were sending multiple copies, it would be kind of awkward. It might take a very long time, especially if the client is a mobile phone, doesn't have the best net connection. So the user will look at it, They'll still be waiting for it. They'll be sad. They'll walk away. It would be a bad idea. So multiple loading, it doesn't really work on the client very well. So might not make sense. What about on the server in the framework? Well, Meteor has a lot of packages that do a lot of interesting framework things on the server. So for example, there's routing. And let's remind ourselves how routing works. The user goes to /awesomestuff, and then the router looks in the routing table and goes, yes, that corresponds to the yay awesome template, gives them the yay awesome template, and the user is happy, things are going well, everyone is awesome. If we load multiple copies of the routing table, that doesn't work nearly as well. It looks something like this. We have these 3 copies of the router, and all of them have different routes for awesome stuff, and all of them are trying to figure out what to send. And it's not really clear which one to use, which one to send. It's not really clear what the user is going to get when they go to /awesomestuff. It's just very confusing and very difficult. So multiple loading doesn't quite work in the framework either. And also, as a developer, multiple loading can be very difficult. So let's say you have an app. It has a bunch of different components, and a bunch of them use our square package. And some of your squares are showing up gray. Well, why are they gray? Are you doing it wrong? Are you using a bad API? And which component is making this anyway? Now you have to track down through all of your subcomponents. You have to figure out which versions you're using. You have to figure out what you're doing wrong. There may be more than one possibility. Maybe you're just passing in a bad string. What's going on? If you are not loading multiple versions, this is a lot easier to reason about. You know which version you're at. It's in your Meteor /versions files. It's that version. And oh, it has a known issue. All squares are gray. Yeah, we fixed that in 1.1. So that's much easier to reason about. It's much easier to understand your app. And the easier it is to understand your app, the easier it is to avoid bugs in it, the easier it is to release it on time. It's more fun. It's better. So for now, we have single loading by default. Let's talk about something else, last topic. Let's talk about versions. Meteor is conservative about its dependency versioning. What that means is, well, you're using a package. It's Bob Awesome Package 1.1. And it depends on jQuery 1.11. So what version of the dependency are we going to give you? Well, it's probably not going to be jQuery 1.10, because that version is out of date. It's less than 1.11. But is it going to be 1.11 or 1.12? Well, when Bob wrote Awesome Package, and he included jQuery 1.11, that's the version he must have tested it with, right? He ran tests on it. That's the version that he knew works. And when you edit Bob's Awesome Package, what you want is for it to work. So there's a tested version, and there's a newest version. But Meteor is not going to just blindly give you the newest version mindlessly. It's going to give you the version that's tested, the version that works with your packages. If you want jQuery 1.12, you could add it manually. But there is no reason to give you to add extra bells and whistles if you're not going to use them, if all they can do is break what might already be working. Your package system should not have any surprises. So we try to be conservative when it comes to giving you dependencies, give you the things that are tested, give you the things that work. I am just out of time right now. So here's some stuff that's coming soon. We didn't have time to talk about it. But it's coming. Some of it is exciting. Find out more later.
Very popular.
In conclusion, Meteor Packaging System. Repeatable builds, conservative versioning, username and packages, and avoids multiple loading. I'll be around the dev shop. Feel free to ask me questions. Also, feel free to ask me questions now.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ekate. All right, so we have a few minutes for questions. If anyone in the room has a question, please raise your hand. If you're on Twitter, please tweet in with Meteor Devshop. Yes?
Just an open question for everybody. Is anybody using TypeScript in order to write their Meteor apps? Anybody tried?
I tried.
Yes? Did it work?
Yeah.
Is it okay? A good experience?
Can we ask questions about packaging?
If there are any.
What if you download two or use two different packages that, for example, are tested with two different versions of jQuery?
The question was, what if you used two different packages and they were tested with different versions of jQuery? And the answer is, Meteor has a powerful constraint solver. We're going to see if we can find the version that still works for the package that is tested with the earlier version that the later one is also tested with. So if you have package A and it's tested with jQuery 1.11, and you have package B and it's tested with 1.12, we know that we cannot give package B version 1.11 because that's what the requirement means. So we're going to have to choose version 1.12 because that's the one that satisfies both of those dependencies. But we're probably not going to give them 2.0 unless there is another thing explicitly asking for it. I hope that clarifies it just a little bit.
Update metadata without increasing the version number?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. The question was, can I update the metadata without increasing the version number? And the answer is that, yes, updating metadata is not connected to actually adding packages to your app. If you can update the metadata inside your package, the answer to that is generally no, not for now. We don't want to change the past and make people confused about what is going on.
How would I tap into the stream of what packages are available if I wanted to use that data for whatever reason?
The question was, how would I tap into the stream of available packages if I wanted to use that data? And the answer is, we have a public API for the package server. We're going to release it, and it's going to involve information on how to get all of the catalog data. So it should be pretty easy and simple. That's an operation we're fully intending to support.
Any more questions from the room? All right. Thank you very much, Ekate. We're going to take a super, super short, about 2 or 3 minute break. And if at this time, if everyone who's giving a lightning talk could please come up to the front and go find a seat in the backstage area, then Bill will take care of you. You only have to stay backstage before your talk. After that, you can sit wherever you want. Thank you.
Hey, good talk.
going to get started again. So we have a great lineup of lightning talks today for you. Our first speaker is Steve Manuel, and he's going to give a talk about DDP and Meteor as the glue.
That's right. All right, so as Ella said, we use Meteor and DDP to kind of tie together a distributed architecture. We have a platform that is meant to track, analyze, measure, and appraise digital audiences in real time. So that means wherever you influence people online, your Facebook, Twitter, your website or blog, email lists, wherever people are consuming your content, we want to measure what that influence is worth in a dollar value and provide that data to you in real time so you can take action on it and then potentially monetize that audience influence in a number of ways. So to start off, here's kind of a diagram of how our architecture is set up. We've got a URL shortener to track influence on social media, where you can't add a kind of a tracking code to your website. And that's a Node application, non-Meteor, just plain Node. There's on-site analytics. That is a Node app as well. It's just handling requests and measuring traffic on your owned properties like websites and blogs. And these two applications drive a significant amount of traffic over DDP to our Meteor server. And then the data that we send to Meteor is then reflected in real time, as you see here, in the UI for our users. So using DDP is kind of a connection module between multiple applications is really great, and it's very simple. As you can see here, this is all it takes to get something actually sent to Meteor from another application. And these are distributed across multiple different AWS instances or different processes, and it doesn't have to be the same language, right? There's Ruby connectors, iOS connectors. And so just quickly, what we have here is a new DDP client that you pass an object for options, including the host for DDP, a port that you're running your Meteor app on, and then a couple other options to reconnect and how often to try to reconnect. You send a connect, you call a connect function on a DDP module or object to send that initial request to the Meteor server to say, hey, we're going to send you some data or potentially give us some data. And then once we detect some event that's happening in our server, we want to send that information to our Meteor server to then reflect in the UI. We hit ddp-client.call, which is similar to like your Meteor method call, and pass some parameters, and it has a function callback that tells you if there's errors, or you can tell what the result that you send back from your Meteor server to your distributed applications is. So I know that was quick, but that's kind of how we use Meteor to tie in a bunch of different applications and bring a bunch of data together in real time for our users.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have about a minute for questions, actually. If I know it's tempting to flee the scene.
No, I'm happy to stay.
But yeah, Aslava.
Did you use some message queue like to guide your workers, Node.js processes to collect data? I'm just interested how like user section can affect the actions of your workers.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, could you repeat the question? Sorry. You're talking about like a layer before it hits Meteor to kind of.
I guess like it doesn't really matter about message queue. Can user like affect the actions of workers of your Node.js processes? Do you use the same Meteor app to communicate it back?
So the question was just, do our users use the Meteor app to communicate back to those other distributed applications? The answer is no. So, well, partially no. They can create a shortened URL through the Meteor app that then gets sent to a shared data store that our URL shortening app does receive. But all events that are tracked by those two distributed apps happen by other people on the web. So some random user visiting your website or clicking a link you posted to Facebook or Twitter, those are then tracked into Meteor, not the other way out. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have Harrison Harnish, and he's going to talk to us about roles-based account management UI. Takes a second.
So hi, I'm Harrison, and this is a simple package that you can drop right into your app. You've got a template tag that you can drop, and it's basically just dependent on roles and Bootstrap 3. It's something that you can download today right off of Atmosphere. And we disappeared. There we go. So I've got a sample app here, which is also uploaded on GitHub. So you sign in. And this is all done for you by the package itself. Can you all see this? So basically, you can search for different users. You can delete them. You can edit the users. Right now, you can change the name. Like, I want this guy to be Batman. OK. So click Enter, and it adds it there. Right now, the only role I've got is admin. But let's say you wanted to create somebody like, I want this guy to be able to go to the Batcave. So I can create that role. Boom, it's there. You can edit one or delete them. So add him. Boom. And that's all changed I think it's Alan's roles-based package management, or roles-based package. So if you have roles already in your app, you can drop this right in, and you can add and delete roles, and you can associate them with users. So there you go. Thank you.
OK, so again, a minute for Q&A. Does anyone in the room have a question? Slava.
So is it based on different Atmosphere package called Meteor Roles, which is written by Lightning?
Yes.
Like, and you provide a visual interface?
Yes.
Can I repeat the question?
Sorry. So the question is, does this provide a visual interface for the Meteor Roles package? And the answer is yes.
Any other questions? OK, thank you very much. So next up, we have Ashutosh Priyadarshi. And he's an engineer at SIFT, and he's going to show us SIFT.
Oh, it's cloned. All right, so all these people before me have done like something technically impressive. But what I'm going to show you is what two guys who didn't know what JavaScript what JavaScript was and what they were able to do. So SIFT is basically a calendar that can set up events automatically for you, so you don't have to have a long email chain. So let's just get started. I'll create an account. Make this bigger. And I'll link one of my Google accounts. Go ahead and do that. Ask for some permissions. And then I have a bunch of different calendars linked to this. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is like my main calendar. The rest of them are kind of garbage. And then the way SIFT works is it gives you a personal assistant that does the scheduling for you and does the email correspondence. So I'm going to go ahead and give mine a name. And now SIFT is like going through my old calendar data and kind of figuring out what type of events I like to go to, who are the people I meet with, what durations are my meetings, and where are my favorite meeting locations, stuff like that, so that it can do a better job of scheduling events when I make a request for that. So this takes a second. And then something, it wants some more information. And let's hit that. The live demo. That's OK. I knew this would happen, so I had something ready. So this is like the SIFT portal. And if I wanted to set up an event, so let's say I want to set up a happy hour with Billy. And it's going to be, let's do Friday for 30 minutes, and grape and grain, that's a place. And high priority, and gonna do that, and add a comment, and I'll send it to Billy. That's great. And then Billy got this email over here saying that I sent him a meeting invite, and he can open up the link, and he'll see the event information. He can edit it if I let him edit any of that information, or add some comments like this, and go ahead and confirm event info. So he's cool with that. And then here's the cool part, where SIF suggests to him some times where I'm free. And since I said that I wanted a drinks event on Friday, it automatically picked times Friday evening, not like Friday at 8 a.m., because no one gets drinks then. So if you pick the right category, SIFT will know how to schedule those events for you smartly. And you can also you can sort of take control over it. So I'm going to say 8 to 8:30, and that's it. The event is now on my calendar, the creator. If we're lucky, here it is. Happy hour is scheduled. And Billy got a Google Calendar invite. Since he's not on SIFT, he got a Google Calendar invite so he can add it to whatever calendar he uses. And so right now, this is how it works between a SIFT user and a non-SIFT user. But eventually, it'll just be automatic between two SIFT users. So that's it. Sorry, I ran over.
Do we have questions? So Jade has a question from on Twitter. She tweeted in a question. How long did it take you to make SIFT?
We had some other stuff going on in between, but I'd say it's been about 3 months so far, and which is pretty good because neither Travis or I had ever built a web app before.
Nice.
I think. I don't know. So.
That was going to be my follow-up question, which was, what was your prior background before you started working?
Yeah, so I worked on at a hardware company, and my co-founder, he worked as a data scientist at somewhere. So.
Question.
Did you have an additional designer, or did you guys do the design for it too?
We've done everything ourselves so far.
The design looks great.
Thank you. Travis, that's for you. Cool. If you guys want to use it, feel free to sign up, siftcal.com. We're also hiring if anybody wants to work at SIFT. You're welcome to join. Cool.
All right. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you very much. All right. So next up, we have Mikhail Lerbank, who is the founder of Kingdom.io, and he's going to tell us about accounts merge, which allows multiple login services per account.
It works. Yeah, so my name is Mikhail, but you can call me Mikhail or Michael or whatever. And I actually run another company, but I started Kingdom.io, which is an ID lab, because I just want to get more shit done before I die. Yeah, I'm just going to show you a package that I built. It's not been released, but so this is like the preview of it. Let's jump in. So there's a few things that I couldn't do with Meteor that I want to fix, and it's when you use login services and the user comes in once. The use case is so he uses Facebook. Next time he comes in, he doesn't remember. He uses Twitter, and he gets 2 accounts. And then if you add so he can log in again, it's just going to flip back and forth between these accounts. I want to merge those. Another thing I wanted to do is when let the user shop around or use the product without even signing up, and then he can sign it up later, like typically you do in an e-commerce site or something like that. And also, I didn't want to interface or interfere with the Meteor core, so just like use the standard components and not break things. So I'll show you how I did it first, and. So I'm going to run this on localhost, like that. So basically, if I'm not logged into this site, it's just an inventory list where you can store your domains. Let's call it domain 1, hard to see. And then I log in to Twitter, and I still have the 1. Add number 2, and I log in with Facebook. I still have the 2, and now I'm logged in with 2 remote services for the same account. If I log out, I can log in again. Doesn't matter if I use Twitter or Facebook, I'm going to end up with the same account. So I keep adding, number 3. So just to explain, if you haven't had this problem, if you add Gmail now, the way Meteor is working out of the box, it would log you out and log in with Google. So you can't add them together. This is just bringing everything together. So I'm going to go out, and now I'm going to really break it here. So let's add number 5. And this is the tricky part. So when I then log in, I have 2 accounts. I have a Gmail account, and I have the Facebook/Twitter. And now I come in, and everything is collected in the same view. So it's really easy if you typically want your users to use all of them, so you can tweet for them and do stuff like that. So that's that thing. I'll go back and just show you how to do it. This is how you do it today. You use Meteor login with Google, for example, and if there's an error, you can do something. If not, you can do something else. And I just change it to use, instead of login, you use sign in with Google. And there's a new thing called user IDs, which is when you merge a user, one is going to be deleted. So you want to be able to, like, say it's a messaging site instead of my stupid domain thing. You have messages for 2 accounts. When you delete one of the accounts, when you merge them, you got to do something. You got to get tons of orphans otherwise. So per your applications, you need to do something about it. So that's what I show here. I created a call to the back end where I actually just send source and destination and bring it together. And this is the on the server side. I just change owner from the source to the destination in the collection, and that's done. This is what you can do soon once I released it, hopefully today or tomorrow or later this week. Thanks.
So do we have any questions for Mikkel?
Yes, conceivably, can you have a large amount of people interfacing in the signing process, let's say for Twitter or Facebook?
The question is if I can have a considerable amount of people interfacing with the different login services. Yeah, that should. It's using Meteor standard functionality. So I'm actually using Meteor Google login or whatever it's called, the regular, this one, behind the scenes. It's just that I'm wrapping it, so with the idea of not interfering. So it should work, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Our last lightning talk is, go ahead. Our last lightning talk is by Olaf Mate and Chanpuri Reith. They are the co-founders of Proof, and they're going to tell us about their app Proof, which is design collaboration software that they built. By the way, while this is getting up, there are a few questions on Twitter that I missed, a combination of the 30-second lag in the live stream and maybe Twitter not being completely real time. So perhaps at the very end, we'll see if we can, if our lightning talk speakers are still around, we can see if we can catch some of the ones that were missed. All right, go ahead.
Awesome. All right. Hi, I'm Chanpuri, and I'm a designer.
Hi, I'm Olaf. I'm a product manager, and we're both really, really passionate about design. So this is like not a tech talk at all, actually, but that's kind of the point. We really want to empower designers to do awesome work. So we've kind of been scratching our own itch and developed this super simple alpha app for design collaboration called Proof. It's kind of a testament to how powerful Meteor is that neither of us work as engineers, yet we were able to do this. So we're going to show you how easy it is in Proof to both share designs and get feedback on design.
Right. So we work together daily, and our workflow has been basically me doing a bunch of design work, sending that over to Olaf. And right now, the way we exchange feedback is either in person, over email, or over chat. And it gets actually really hard to have design conversations when you're not in the same room. I'll send him a mock. Olaf will send something back and say things like, "Oh, can you change the copy on that button? that totally sucks. And I'll have to email
I'm
back
really
and say,
nasty.
Yeah, so I have to email back and say, what button are you talking about? Are you talking about the one on the right or the left? So we end up having conversations trying to just figure out what we're talking about and not even about the design work. So
right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've all been in that situations where you're emailing a PDF back and forth, and it's like, which is the latest version, et cetera. So to give you an example of how this works, say Shampori and I are working on the latest version of the Meteor homepage, and Shampori just pushed this to the latest dev server or something, and it's still a draft, so there are going to be a lot of comments and conversation around it. So I would perhaps go in, just take a screenshot of it, and go into proof. And since I took a screenshot of it, it's on my clipboard, so I can just Command V in it, and I have the mock up here, and I can start commenting on it and give feedback. So I'll do that here. You know, a better way to build apps. Couldn't agree more. And I'll put a little heart on that. And now to share that with Shampori, I'll just go into this little share icon here. I'll copy paste the URL, or I could share it somewhere else. And I'll go into iMessage, share the link with him. There or somewhere else. And he'll get it. And now we can actually start to have a conversation about this design live. So I'll give him some more feedback. You know, can we increase the contrast here? Actually, can I learn how to type? Might be a better one. So we start to give feedback right in this conversation flow. And I noticed here that tickets come up straight away when Shampori's in and commenting. So here one came up. It says, this red is a little too bright. Yeah, can we try burgundy? Or something like that. So you see how Shampori's comments are all coming up. And if I want, I can go into the right side here and just flick open, a conversation view, where I have all the tickets all together. And I can see 2 ones marked in green, which are ones I haven't taken action on yet. So it's kind of like a task manager directly on your design. So I can go in, and let's see what Shampori said about the burgundy. Totally great idea. Let's do it, et cetera. And that's how the kind of conversation flow works. So this is kind of what we've been using lately for all our design work and conversations. So let's see if there's something else there that's blinking that I haven't commented on. Background, nice typing. So we're doing a lot more on this. If you want to know more, if you want to work with us on it, feel free to reach out and check it out on goproof.io. Or if you want to be alpha testers. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So does anyone have questions for these two? Any questions from the room? Oh yeah, question in the back.
Can you drop a point farther down and in that set the scroll position points and stuff that are out of view?
Any ticket you'll put today will be exactly on the view. So yeah, you can't put them down there now. But we're working on so that you can have a ticket that's kind of at the same level of the image that's not anchored to a point. Sorry, I forgot to repeat the question, which is if you could put tickets outside of the image that was uploaded.
All right, any other questions? OK, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
All right, so like I mentioned earlier, there were a couple questions that I didn't see in time to ask to the appropriate speaker. So I'm going to do a quick lightning round of Twitter Q&A. Very exciting. So MG had a question for Steve Manuel, which was, how are you authenticating your DDP connections?
We're just authenticating them the way you'd authenticate any DDP connection.
Cool. Okay. That's a good answer. Then Jade had a question, what versions of Meteor are compatible with Accounts Admin UI, which I believe was for Harrison.
I recently pushed a change for 8.0 that somebody filed a bug for yesterday, so it's been tested with the current version.
Great. Wow, leading edge. And then Ariel Fujini asked, can you plug that into any app, which I believe was also for Harrison.
I haven't gotten a ton of feedback, but all the apps that I've tried about 5 of them, different flavors, and I haven't had any problems. There's a few examples on how to integrate it with Iron Router right on the GitHub account.
Great. And finally, we have a question for Olaf and Shampori, which was, how are you hosting GoProof.io?
We're actually hosting it on Meteor.com.
Free Meteor deploy. Great. All right, that's it. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight for Meteor Devshop. If you're watching this online, thanks for tuning in. The live stream is typically still rewatchable for at least a few days or quite a bit longer. So feel free to, if you have people outside this time zone who missed it, send this to them. And our next Devshop is April 24th, again, the last Thursday of the month, which is when Devshop usually takes place. We'd love to see you all back here. So thanks.